Good evening, everybody. I call to order the Town of Swanton Selectboard meeting February 18th at 6 o'clock. First thing we're going to do is a pledge of allegiance. Please join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Go through agenda review. Starting with Christina. Anything for agenda review? Kathy?
I'm good, thank you.
Nicole?
I had two inquiries made to me, would probably fit under community and economic development. I just want to share with the board.
Okay, two inquiries. Earl?
I'm all set.
All right, I've got two things. I would like to move the new town business to right after public comment. That way folks can depart if they want to. Everyone is okay with that? That'll be item 3 instead of item 8. And then under item 7, I want to add C, welcome signs, and just give you a little update there. That's all I have.
I'm all set.
You're all set? Steve, you're good? Fine.
Okay, I got a couple of changes. Okay, under Highway Department 6, I'd like to add a D, and that's a motion in signing of the certificate of highway mileage that is due to the state of Vermont on the 20th. Then under new business, Franklin County Field Days will not be attending this evening, but we do have Heather Lavoie here from the Swanton Historical Society would like to make a brief presentation. And then under other business, we have an appointment to the Swanton Rec Board of Directors. And that's what I've got.
Okay. On to meeting topics. Minutes of the regular select board meeting of February 4, 2025. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for February 4th, 2025.
I hear a second.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. D2, public comments. This is for anything that is not on the agenda. Anybody have anything they want to add? Think we're good to go there. 3, which is the old 8. Start with the Swanton Historical Society. Heather?
Start?
Yeah, you're going to be able to start early and get out of here.
I'm passing out the...
One thing I would say, because this was not warned, is we shouldn't be taking any action on it tonight, but we can certainly take the information and have a discussion about it.
That's fine.
Okay?
So I approach now?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
See that? Everybody's set.
Well, thank you for having me tonight and getting me in. I have been, we've been very graciously donated a building to the Swanton Historical Society, the Roy Insurance Building, from Mr. Horton. It is to be designated specifically as a museum, as it was donated to us, and we're going to honor that, Mr. Horton. First, I want to talk about how I got here in front of you guys. I came back to my community. I grew up in Swanton, and I've come back to our community and be part of our community, and first thing I wanted to do was join the Swanton Historical Society, as you know, my neighbor Ron Kilburn has been a very active member, and my mother, and I've always had a passion for history myself. I did study at Trinity College, and I have a degree in history, and I walked into a situation where we found out that the library is needing the space that we had been occupying for years, decades there. And we were looking for some solutions, and I was tasked with finding a new home possibly for us. And it just happened at the time that this building was available, and at first, it was something that we were going to fundraise to purchase, and next thing we know, Mr. Horton is donating it to have it to be a good home for our community. I think he really felt that it could be such a benefit to all of us to be there, and this right in the center of our town, and tell the stories, everybody's stories in this town. And so that's kind of how I got here, and to be here in front of you, requesting for some financial support. We also have a history with our partnership on the Train Depot Museum. And that space has been, I think, great also for our community. It works great right next to the trails and the park setting. We're open in the summer times. We have our volunteers. We get a lot of passionate people for trains there as well, and we do utilize the basement for storage for a lot of historical items. And it's full of antiques and stories that need to be told. And we're kind of full also in the basement. Things are piling up, and we need some more space. I totally agree. So we want to move from the library to this new building. And I have started we're in the beginnings of starting a brick fundraiser that is going to be launched this spring. We've had to do some updating to our website. It's not up at this very moment right now because it's being redone by some of our members, our volunteers. This is something that was not really in our budget. We are an all-volunteer program, and we have some new members, some young members that help out with the depot, especially with the interior kind of maintenance, and they help putting in the vents, and they're kind of our strength and our inspiration. And we started to reevaluate how we'd like to be presented in the community, even with the depot being more active. And I think this building is also going to be a great way for us to be above ground and visible in our community, and we want to be open to the public and putting on events and promoting anything good in Swanton there. And I hope that we've earned your trust with the depot on caring for that building and really respecting your help that you have given us already. We take it very seriously, very seriously. We're very conscious of it's a gift to be able to have this museum. And it was also a gift from the trains, the railroad, the land. This was a full-on community effort to get that space there, and we hope that we are, with you guys, co-caretakers of that property as well. But now I have a new space that needs some attention. And it's a bit tricky, not only in moving in, but also with funding and grants. I've already met with the Preservation Trust of Vermont on lining up what we need to do for the future. There is no grants for making the building enough for us to move into. There's grants once we are there inside, for displays, preserving any kind of history, things that they might also be able to help once we're in with some larger projects of brick and windows and plaster walls and everything like that, but they don't have this initial grant to move us in. And so, also with moving in, we can't just take our stuff now and put it in the building, because if we're doing nothing major, but if we have to take out, you know, the carpeting that's been there since the 70s and has to come out and have the hardwood floors that are underneath, we have to do that before we move in. Shuffling these artifacts is not a good idea and not a practical idea to do. It will increase the costs on us quite a bit to try to shuffle and move things around once that happens. So I tried to look at the building, get quotes on what needs to be done immediately. And I looked at our community and looked at who could help us come in, get into the building, which is our electrical, painting, interior and exterior, electric. There's two on electric. One is, there's these outlets that stick up out of the floors. Not very safe when you're touring, you know, showing people. We have to get those recessed. Also flooring, that's what I mentioned about the carpeting removal. The linoleum downstairs is, we're not gonna try to rip that up, we're just gonna go over it. You know, we're not trying to be super fancy, we're just trying to get what needs to be done enough that once we put our things in there, we don't have to have that sawdust, painting, fumes, things that could affect anything on our historical stuff. I also have, I put in also insurance for all, when I have all this work to be done right now. It's outstanding right now. We are going to be setting up some insurance eventually here before we can allow any kind of work to be done on the building and stuff. And then Mike Reed, also with the plumbing. We do have 2 bathrooms, but they're not totally functioning because they've been sitting for 30 years. So we need to, and you never know when you open up and take out an old toilet what you're going to find underneath. So he did bump it, but his pretty high. But again, it does look pretty clean. It looks pretty straightforward. But anybody who's been into old homes, you know, it could be a can of worms. I also had to just get some estimates, some verbals on the drop-down ceiling, because it goes down about 3 feet, and underneath it is this beautiful tin ceiling that has been there for a very long time. We'd have to, you know, like maybe be able to expose that. And then once we take down the drop-down ceiling, the electric would have to come back and he would recess and replace whatever needs to be done. And this was the hardwood floors and signage. I put a lot of value on the signage because it's such a prominent place, and I want to be able to advertise when we're having special events, like you know, Native American presentations to art. I would love to have some art displays going on in the building, open to the public. I think it's really important that we have that communication going in front of this building to be aware.
Okay, so looking at this sheet that you were just talking about, which has the quotes and the estimates.
Yes.
You're coming to the select board based on the beginning of this letter asking for the total?
Yes, that is the total of what was listed on that next page, yes.
Okay, and we are in the middle of budget season. Well, actually, I guess I'd say we're at the end of budget season because in 2 weeks we're voting on the budget. So it makes it kind of hard to come up with $40-something thousand. So
Right.
what is the request?
Well, this is if we outsourced everything. I don't know if you have abilities to any you know, labor or you know, I could only research what I could do as a volunteer and get these prices just to move in. I had to know. And I can ask for less or you can give less, but I would prefer that you could look at what I have done and decide what you might feel is more appropriate as you as a town select board to help out or not help out. I am very determined to have this happen.
I fully support the idea of getting that
Yeah.
set up the way that you folks want. Again, the timing of this is off the bat, but I'm gonna open this
Yeah.
up to other board members to speak, and we'll go from there. Ask your questions.
One of the things that comes up right away is the ADA compliant. Right? Unless you bring them up with a rope, I don't know how you do that, but
Well, I met with Laz Genghis, the engineer and architect, and he said that we are okay as we are, as long as we're not doing major renovations, and we're not. We're not knocking down walls, we're not restructuring stairs, this is cosmetic kind of things being done, a drop-down ceiling, a rug coming up, linoleum being put down. That is to be dealt with probably in the future here with grants. I am looking into having a lift put in the inside of the building where the old stairs used to be, and where we could maybe enter in through the lower level.
down the hill.
Yeah, exactly. The lower level, and then have an interior lift. And there are special grants for historical buildings specifically
So
to have.
so at this point, if you're handicapped or you're in need of a wheelchair, you're not going to be able to access the building.
That right now, it would be coming, it's a really tough situation right now,
And
as it
my-
is.
My other question, do you have are you working on an annual operating budget for the building?
Well, with the depot, that, we have a budget for the depot, and that was set before even looking for a new home. And even though we have used some of the funds from the depot, it's not really going to be our main source, because that would put our relationship in jeopardy too, because that money is for, so that we can keep that relationship with you, with the depot, and caretake for it, and keep our responsibility up and going. I mean, we have projects that we're probably gonna have to fund for the deck being, painted or stained, we did that. We budgeted for the caboose that needs some maintenance work done, and a cover done for one of our railroad, what do you call it when it has the?
Hand cars?
Yes, we had a cover made for that. So we do budget our money for things out of that, the funds that we do have right now. But it's mainly just to keep this relationship good and positive.
So that's
I'm
why-
going to be starting a new fund for the bank building.
That's why I asked the question, because immediately upon ownership, you now have expenses
Yes.
coming in,
We
whether it be heat, utilities, all that stuff, insurance. So what do you think, have you put together a draft of an annual operating budget just for that building?
We do know from previous utility bills what the basics are for the building is around $5,000 a year for heating, cooling, electrical, at a very basic level. And right now I do have a fundraiser for the bricks going on to get some operating expenses covered as well. And then to actually have a yearly fundraiser that we plan on doing to help mitigate some of those expenses every year that we need to pay for. Whether it's coin collections, or we'll be doing raffles and things like that as
But
well.
at this point, you really don't, you don't have an operating budget.
No, we have an initial $5,000 that was donated to us for this specifically. And we did have to pay the transfer tax on the building, and that was $2,400. And then our first heating bill's been $500, $493. We paid that. And so we are, it's happened, like I said, we can have some access to some of that budget, but it's not forever budget with the depot, because we do need to protect that for our responsibilities there.
That's it.
Brendan?
I guess, sorry, this is just a question overall. When a building like this is donated, is the ownership on the town or is it on the Historical Society?
Historical Society right
It is.
now.
Okay.
Yep, and that's how it was also with the depot
Mm-hmm.
originally.
Okay.
And they were able to get some grants and funding to get it into place and running. Grants and the railroad donated. So between that, they were able to get it to a good spot
Okay.
to be a partnership.
And then, kind of piggybacking off of your question there, Joel, the 42,000 today, that's the entire expense of everything.
Worst case scenario kind of thing.
I guess I'm wondering from a fundraising perspective, I know you mentioned that you're going to be doing some. Is this, you just mentioned worst case scenario, but what's the ideal state of, how much are you expecting to fundraise? Do you have any expectations from that versus this budget of, hey, we're trying to do a dollar for dollar match here, but if we can raise the first 20, can you guys come back with the next 20? That sort of situation. I'm just wondering what's the goals.
I am going full on with the brick fundraiser. I have laid out the front with Laz came in. He laid out the front sidewalk and a side sidewalk. And we can even add another little sidewalk historically. It's actually in the blueprints on how it was laid out before. And I could raise enough bricks, if we sell all the bricks for these spots, we could be at $100,000 to $120,000 for operating expenses.
Okay.
And that's what I would like to have in the bank as we, for backup, for all the years to come, events, planning, put back into our community.
That's my question, so.
No? So you guys have closed on all this.
Yes.
And does the deed stipulate it has to be used for this purpose?
Yes.
What's it say if it doesn't get used for this purpose? Say you can't pull this off, does it revert back to the owner?
I did not ask Ned Spear that. I can ask.
It would be in the deed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think it would be in there what we have.
It is written in the deed
Yeah.
that it is to be used this way. But,
Well, I like Brendan's idea. I think, the board has some flexibility funding wise, but not for that full amount.
right.
Maybe as a match, if you're putting a fundraiser together, that, maybe we could use some ARPA funds. They're not called that anymore, but, the total amount I think is gonna be hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see how the brick fundraising does. They, and this is now probably 5-6 years, that playground at the elementary school, they raised $300K. If I remember right. So if you get that kind of money, I don't think we need to take special funds at this point.
Yep.
So
Let's see how it goes, and then, we can go from there.
Okay.
But I will say, as a comment, that, it is a kind of a key piece of real estate in the downtown area of Swanton. And I guess we're probably gonna remember how beneficial it might be that we got some say what's gonna happen to it in the future. Because it does have some limitations, parking wise and stuff like that, to be probably a thriving commercial operation. From a historical standpoint, maybe it might be able to be self-sufficient.
Are you using municipal parking?
I have talked to, we have the parking right across the road as well, and I've talked with Gordon Winters, and he's a very friendly neighbor. So, with parking, he's very gracious on that as well. I don't mind the wait and see, on this kind of thing as well, but, I feel like, it would be a good gesture to get things going, to see that our town is, $1,000, $5,000, to see that you guys do like to see what you're seeing, and you are in agreement that this should be something maybe to move forward on. I mean, I had to do this. This is my reality check here, guys, my goals too. But, I like to feel like I'm not completely the Swanton Historical Society on their own on this. I would love to see any kind of gesture to go towards this, to help us out, to get going.
All right, well, again, because this wasn't warned, I think we take this as information. If we have
Yeah.
another meeting, we can put that on as a line item. We
Okay,
can have the discussion if we're gonna do zero, all, some portion of it. And
Okay.
I don't think there's one board member who doesn't support the project. But again, timing is one of the issues.
I
Nicole,
support
do
the
you-
project.
I'm thinking,
I've given that
do you have any
spoken.
questions?
Questions, no, but I feel that some of the things that you have here could be organized volunteer days. I know there's lots of people looking to give back to their community and
yes,
things like that. I do support Brendan and his idea of a fundraising plan. I think there's some work that needs to be done on all of those things, as well as if you're going to look for the town to help assist in any type of continued support for the depot and the new building, some sort of maintenance plan, just so we manage lots of buildings, but just so we know that you guys also have an understanding of what needs to happen to take care of a building, especially an older
Yes.
building.
that would be great,
So
that would be great.
Just for the record, we still maintain depot building, right? That was when before, okay, so it's still.
Depot building and the library.
Right.
And just a friendly suggestion, though, you really ought to put together some projected operating
Operating
numbers,
costs,
so then you
yes.
can show what it's truly gonna cost to run that shop, and then where the money's gonna come from, and whatever.
I can definitely do that.
Old buildings aren't cheap to run, as we all know.
And I'm
I
sure we
know.
can certainly help with a template of some kind if that's helpful. I
Yes.
can help you do that. Just
That
so
would be great.
you know how to find me. I'm not too hard to find.
Awesome, awesome.
All right, so we will put this on an agenda.
Okay,
I would say maybe not the first meeting, because we're gonna be a reorganization, but the second meeting in March.
Which would be 1 month.
and I'll have some operating
That would be,
set
that'd
up
be helpful.
for it. And,
Yeah,
yeah, I look forward to it, guys. I mean, the sooner we get in there, the sooner the library can also do a lot greater programs in our community. And I know they're anxious to really get some children in the space and utilize that to its fullest as well. So I think it's a very positive thing too.
And any more details about the fundraising, the bricks? Another thing I wrote down here is a coin drop. That'll get you
Yes.
probably $1,800 on a weekend. About 4 hours worth of 4 people standing in that road. If you get the village to go along with it,
Yes,
you can get some money right there. So it's one other to add to a possible list of ways to
we'll be
get some
doing
money.
that.
Okay.
It's on my list. I can make give you more detail of the fundraising too.
I'm interested to know what would happen to that property if it didn't.
Oh, I know.
No,
Well,
I mean, what it says in the deed.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be something to bring to that
Yeah.
March
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay,
we
I
answered that
can follow up
question.
on that.
And
yes,
the
as well.
landowners are the Swanton Historical Society. You
Yes.
are the free simple owner.
Yes,
You sure?
yeah, as a nonprofit, yes, yeah,
We can get the deed here.
Yeah, we can print the deed right here. Yeah, it's recorded.
yeah. And I have a copy. I do.
Just print it off.
Now we will have that answer as well for the discussion at that point.
Well,
All
thank you
right.
so
All right,
much,
thank
you.
everyone. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like the enthusiasm.
Thank you.
Next item, 3B, Swanton Fire Department. Chief? Assistant Chief, Mr. Campbell?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're just there for backup, Bill?
Mr. Chair, can I kick it off just quickly?
Absolutely, you can.
Bring your chair up. though.
No, I don't need to be up here, trust me. For the record, Bill Sheets, Swanton Village Manager. So the trustees have heard this plan. So this isn't just a recap of the year, this is a capital construction, capital equipment replacement plan. So under these gentlemen's leadership, we literally are changing the way we go about business. We were maybe 1 year out from getting to the point where we need a bond for a big apparatus. This is a game changer. In a nutshell, of a synopsis, they've come up with a plan that downsizes us by 1 truck while meeting all the department needs, efficiency and effectiveness, while putting off any bond ready for this until 2036.
What was that?
2036.
Excellent.
Correct?
2030.
32. I was close. My bad, 32. Still pretty good.
Okay.
Just
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thank you.
what's our fire rating? Are we at C, D, B? For insurance?
Oh, your ISO rating right now? They do a point system now. We're at 56.4 out of 100, so it's decent. There's room for improvement. I actually have all that information. I didn't bring it with me.
I'm just curious.
When you're talking bonding in 2032, that would be for another truck?
Yes. All right, so to pick up where Bill left off, in 2018, 2019, and then 2020, the goal was to take 2 trucks, combine them, order that truck, and we would replace the 2 that we were going to get rid of. That's new engine 3 now. The problem was once new engine 3 showed up, we had determined very quickly that it wasn't going to perform as designed, and it wasn't going to be able to meet the needs of the community as you know them today. Essentially what was going to happen is we were going to go from having 2 tankers to 1 tanker, because we were going to sacrifice the tankers. The problem with that plan, very obvious, is when a truck's out of service, we'd have no tankers. And when we started analyzing that, it kind of became prevalent that we weren't being good stewards of taking care of the non-hydrogen area, which is primarily the town. So we had made the decision that we would like to keep the little tanker and the new bigger truck, which serves as also a tanker, to make sure we have 2. What Troy and myself and our team came up with was a way to figure out to meet the goals that the community said they wanted, because they had voted for us to go down to 5 trucks, while keeping the tactical abilities that we have now, similar to what they are now, given the call volume and what we're up against. So this first page, what you have here is engine 1 and utility 6. They are currently have to be replaced. Our proposal to the trustees was not to replace either one of them, but to combine their duties to 1 truck and replace it with that truck. Essentially what they tried to do in 2018, 2019. Engine 1's $1 million today.
Replacement, I mean, buy new ones.
Yeah, and then utility 70,000. Those numbers came from the people that we typically buy from, HME. That was a rough estimate. Hey, if I have an engine, what am I looking at? He's like $1 million. I'm like, they're not going to want to hear that. So, next page is the actual truck that we are going to try to go for and explore the option. What you're seeing here is what's called a mini pumper. The benefits of this truck, one obvious one is it is substantially cheaper than an engine. It can perform a lot of the same duties. It's easier to drive. It's a lot lighter. It's a lot nimble, and it can perform a lot of different duties. This truck actually exists in Hyde Park. One of our goals is to go up and take a look at it and see if it'll meet the needs of the community as well.
Are you buying new or used?
No. So the next page is the benefits is the fleet goes down to 5 trucks per the request of the taxpayers, which will free up the bay and the station for us to make an adjustment to the station. We would actually like to eventually have a gear room and some other things, so going down to 5 trucks will open up one of those bays to be able to do that. The maintenance cost on a mini pumper is a quarter of that of an engine. Tires alone, there's $4,000 to $6,000 on an engine, substantially cheaper on a mini pumper. We replaced the windshield on the ladder not too long ago. That was a couple grand. Windshield on a mini pumper is measured in a few hundreds. So it's going to be cheaper to maintain, cheaper to run. Fuel usage, it can perform 90% of the engine's tasks. The difference between this truck and the engine is the engine carries 6 people, this truck will carry 5. The engine carries 1,000 gallons of water, this will carry about 400. The engine has a 2,000 gallon a minute pump, this will have 15. All acceptable losses while keeping us close to our abilities that we have right now. We're not sacrificing a truck, we're sacrificing a little bit of abilities and keeping ourselves where we need to be. It can perform 100% of the tasks for the utility trucks. So you'll see this pulling the boat, you'll see it pulling the hazmat trailer, you'll see it pulling the Argo, you'll see it going to brush cars and stuff like that. It'll encompass everything of the 2 trucks that we'll be sending down the road.
You use these vehicles when you go to accidents? Accident? You know, usually you see a fire truck at an accident.
As far as car accidents, yes.
So this is going to be the vehicle?
I believe so. That's the tentative plan right now. Part of that reason is that we go through an extensive driving training program to be able to drive an engine. It's a 50,000 pound vehicle, and to go off the street, you don't know how to do it. This truck, with minimal man hours, it'll only be a little bit, and then that's somebody to get in it and drive it, and it'll be easy to use. So, we've already identified the grants that we could, and I'm gonna ask that they apply for to help offset the cost of this new truck.
Before you jump to, that's the next page, right? You're talking about the funding. The gear run, isn't that a requirement anyway, as far as when you come back from a response and so on, that you have it set up? That
They would like the gear.
Decontamination, et cetera?
Yes, they would like the gear away from the trucks, and they would like us to have a clean.
Right, so this would take care of that.
Correct.
Yes.
When you alter that space, that will take care of that need. It's been there for,
Correct.
It removes all of our gear off the apparatus floor, separate from the truck exhaust, any other contaminants that they may get on them previous to us actually responding to an emergency. It allows us to be able to do that and actually provide that to all members of the department.
good. Yeah, that would be a big improvement.
And sorry, just one other question too. Going back to your question earlier of that risk rating, by decreasing our capabilities, does that increase or increase our risk rating or decrease whatever is the negative?
My research so far, your rating won't change with us going to a mini pump. If we were to go down to one tanker, it would change your rating because your ability to shuttle water would be cut in half. So that does impact your overall rating. So that was one of the things that we had looked up initially in the beginning part, in the middle of 2024, was just like, what's the best bang for your buck? Not replacing a truck, people are like, well, I'm saving money, but if your homeowner's insurance goes up, it's kind of a wash.
That's why I was asking about the ISO rating, because it does have a reflection on what we pay for fire insurance on properties.
I'd like to get that information and bring it in and show you
Yeah,
guys.
that's really important, because that affects everybody, whether they support this or not. If that rating goes up, I think it's favorable, and if it goes down, the insurance companies are quick to adjust their rates.
Mhm.
It might cost all of our taxpayers, all of our property owners more money.
I am hoping to make enough of an impact there as well, because there's certain things that we're not getting credit for. So there's a new hydrant on 207 for the state garage. That's in a key location at the end of their driveway. That's not on our rating, stuff like that. So little things like that. If we get a dry hydrant on Jones Bridge, that should impact our rating. So there's things like that that I want to make sure that we can put it into the system to see if it's enough to move the needle in the right direction.
Okay, thanks.
So these are the grants that we've identified through Heidi that we could potentially go for to help offset the cost of the truck. And then the next page, $430,000 is roughly the cost of the truck. I got that from two different companies. I asked them to inflate that number because we would not want to take ownership of the truck until 2027. So I was like, all right, what's your estimate for 2027? And they get a little bit bigger. That's where the 430 comes from. Currently, right now, in our equipment replacement fund or truck replacement fund, we already have 200,000. So essentially, I need the new price tag at that point would be 230,000. So if we continue to receive support from the community, we'll have an additional $140,000 in that equipment replacement fund by 2027. So we need to come up with $90,000 for the truck. I'm hoping to get some grant funding. If not, worst case scenario, what we're planning on doing is selling engine 1, selling utility 6, which was the first two trucks that you saw, taking the income from those two sales and using that to offset the rest of that $90,000. Getting down to where we'll actually have replaced the truck and made a profit of $10,000. No taxpayer impact, no new taxpayer impact, no bond. Truck's paid for, delivery, check, sign included. That's just if we sell engine 1, and if we sell engine 2, utility 6, we'll actually have potentially made some money. The $100,000 for engine 1, again, I went through HME, I talked to Glenn, I said, all right, what can I get for used engine? And I got that number from him. He gave me some resources on how to estimate what the used market's doing right now, and actually where it's going. $1 million truck, brand new. Small communities, a lot of them can't do that, so they are picking up trucks like ours for $100,000 and $200,000 and running it for 10 years. So that's kind of the nature of the used market right now. So that's the financing. If we are able to meet these goals that we're trying to achieve and have that little bit of profit. This was one of the trucks that was supposed to be sent down the road. This is a little tanker. It's quick, it carries a lot of water, and it is reliable, and it's actually old enough that it's easy to maintain. The profit margin that you saw on the previous page, we would like to take that and put it back into this truck. Any upgrades, any refurbishments, any overhauls that we can do, and try to get many more years out of this truck as we possibly could. Again, it's relatively easy to maintain. It's old enough to where there's not a lot of technology.
It's 30 years old.
Yeah, and yes, it is. So, that is the capital expense plan as of right now. We have permission from the trustees to explore that option, come back with information. I am going to ask them to officially allow us to order it after we get our truck committee together and get all the information. I want to know what you guys thought.
All right, I guess I'll start. I think it's a great plan. I think there's some concerns that can be looked at regarding the rate-in, and by the sounds, it probably won't affect the rate-in. I like the idea that, and I guess one of my questions is how much would it cost to fix that gear room? Because once you've got a couple of years to worry about that, but right on the heels of the new truck would be getting that taken care of. But what you explained to me makes a lot of sense. If you can get pretty much the capability for a lot less money, and it fits the overall needs of what you got to do, I like it. How about you, Steve?
You heard me say before, I can't thank you guys enough for your volunteer work, for making Swanton safe. If we had to pay salary, it would be a lot more expensive, so thank you very much. Good job.
I guess my only question would be if we do get grant money, which obviously is hopeful that we would that be going towards the gear room, or how would those funds go back into the truck fund for future equipment?
So whatever, I would have to approach trustees. My take on it is if I got grant money, it would go towards the truck, offsetting the cost. Any money left over, we probably want to stay in the equipment replacement fund for another truck later on at 2032. And that's the kicker to this plan. We can do this now because it's such a small truck and its capabilities. When it's time to go for a bigger one, I'm not sure we'll have enough saved up again, so that may require a small bond. But if I get grant money, that's just that much bigger pot that I'll be building on for that 2032 purchase.
Anything else?
No, just thank you guys. This is great proposal.
Carl?
No, I think it's the right proposal because you're gonna need to keep updated like any other business. It's not a business, it's a service to the community, a really good one. But you still have the equipment and buildings to maintain. There's always gonna be capital costs. This makes it fairly reasonable for the taxpayers. I know you did increase the amount we put in the truck fund this year, but that's gonna make it easier to do this deal, I certainly am supportive of this going forward compared to what we were looking at last year.
Thank you.
And I agree, I think it's a great proposal, definitely in support of it. You guys have put a lot of work into it, and I really appreciate that.
Do you use the Swanton, the village grant writer?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, very much, yes.
As somebody new to the board, I'll just say it's very rare we get a proposal that money comes back into the pocket and not more going out. So I very much appreciate that.
Good. Awesome.
Anything else for us? Yeah, I was going to ask you if you wanted a closing statement.
No, it's very, so the critical needs that remain are that gear room and the exhaust system. And we're exploring grants for everything, we just haven't heard yet. And like every other grant in the world right now, everything's on hold.
Well, fundraising, we've already had that discussion once tonight, might not be such a bad alternative. Because people really are supportive of your service. Whenever you needed it, it hasn't been an issue with the voters.
And I know I've said it before in this forum, but your presence in the community in 2024 was remarkable.
You will see us again.
For volunteers to come out on Saturday and do the different projects and the graffiti, to have that happen on a Friday night and paint it over by noon, 1 o'clock on Saturday, to me is just fantastic. And that's above and beyond what you guys are asked to do. So really appreciate that.
You will see us again, like we saw the graffiti and I put the word out and we talked and they were like, no, not in Swanton.
Yeah, that was impressive.
I do have two more questions for the board. I had submitted the total runs for the 2024 and you guys put it in your report, but that was the entirety of Swanton as a whole. Last time I was here, you guys wanted to break down. Do you need a breakdown or is the board good?
If you have it, we'll take it. We got the report printed,
Yeah.
so that, as far as for the report, that's done, but if you've got the info,
That's great.
You're gonna run the fire trucks around like you did a few summers ago? That was a big hit.
Thank you.
I can review it. Okay.
Okay, pass that down.
So we ended the year with 301 calls. It's our second highest year for call volume. The top portion here is the town itself. If you look at the pie chart, obviously car accidents are a huge component, almost 50%. The next one beyond that would be fire alarms, road hazards, and smoke investigation. So it just kind of gives you a layout of how the calls laid for community. Village calls, the same thing, car accidents are definitely the highest. We really truly get a lot of traffic through in and around Swanton. It really is quite amazing. 66% of all calls were in the town, 9.5 were mutual aid, and then 24.5% in the village. So I just wanted to show you how it kind of broke down.
oh, that's good info, and ask you to bring that to the meeting with the public there.
And then the next sheet, just again, it's the house broken down for its entirety. So I just wanted you all to have that and to see it.
No, that's good stuff.
And then the last thing was, last time I was before you guys, you'd asked me a question that I hadn't had ready for. You'd asked me about Woods Hill 207. And then where accidents would go there. So what I did was I went back and I started taking more data in and trying to track things. We have a program that's called Active 911, so we get home to our pagers, and then we get a really loud, obnoxious text through our phones, and lets us know. That text comes directly from Central Dispatch, they activate it. And what it does is it tracks all the locations. What I have here is a list of all the locations that we went to in 2024, and it gives you your hot areas as to frequency and the number of times we've gone there.
Got one coming here.
So I wanted to follow up real quick. Everybody. I wanted to follow up real quick. If you look where the two stars are, you'll see Woods Hill and Hanging Road, and then below it you have Hanging and Woods Hill. It's just how the dispatchers inputted it. It's the same location. And you'll see it's a total of 6 times. And then, apologies, I believe it is
Yeah.
page...
I'm on the list.
You're on the list?
Yeah, our fire alarm kept going off. You guys were very kind of coming over and checking out. Yeah. Yeah, I know. That was me, yeah.
And if you go to page 6, you're going to see 2162 Highgate Road. That is also the intersection of Woods Hill and 207.
So you frequent that quite often?
So in 2024, we went there 7 times. If you add January, we went there 9 times. It continues to still be an area for a lot of traffic accidents. And Woods Hill and Cook Road, Highgate Road and Bushy Road. This is just a breakdown of the calls. Now, the program doesn't separate village and town. It's just where we went the most and whatnot. And I just think it would be good for you all to see it. You get asked about it, like, you know, why are they also going down this road? You know, it does not break it up by call type, but just the frequency, which how many times we go there. So if somebody asks, well, how many times can you go to this intersection? You have that. So.
Very good. Yeah, it's hard to believe that Woods Hill, that intersection to me is just not a problem. Stop there.
I know.
Take a look.
Stop, look.
You got halfway decent visibility in both directions and cross, but it is a place that others have a problem with. I don't know. Okay.
That's good information.
Yeah.
And if there's any other data or data that you'd like us to keep track of, that you'd like to see, let me know. I'm getting decent, dangerous with spreadsheets and whatnot. So,
How did you get to Butler's Island? You have to take the boat.
Boat,
Yeah.
that was a boat call.
Oh, wow.
And that's owned by North York, isn't it? It's in North York.
I have no idea. So that, the nature of that call was, they had a boater by Butler's Island who, both individuals had become sick and dehydrated. St. Albans Town was dispatched and actually wanted being in their jurisdiction. And they only took one patient and the other patient's like, no, I want to go. So we went and got the other one. I'm not sure of ownership.
Yeah. Wow.
Bill?
All set, thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for
Thank you, guys.
putting this
Appreciate it.
together
Thank you
and
very
briefing
much.
us and
Great information.
including.
Very good.
We are gonna move on to what would be 3C is the town reappraisal requirement. It's on page 8.
Maybe slightly misnumbered, but in the event.
Yeah, page 9 and 10.
Um,
and 11.
As we probably have talked about before, we have not had a full reappraisal done in the town since 2007. That everybody knew that we would have to have one. The state of Vermont has basically ordered that we start the process of having one done. Okay, this is number one, it's not going to happen overnight. But what this letter that you've got is came into the office, the listers have got it. The consulting assessor, James Pratt, and his team, and the team of the listers are reviewed it. And what they're looking for at this time is to just get the go-ahead to check with some appraisal companies, not looking necessarily for, they know that we have to put out by our thing, RFP, and 3 of them, or at least 3. But they just want to get an idea of availability, because there's only so many of these firms around that do this work.
When you say they, you're talking about the state, or you're talking about our listers?
Our list
Yeah, okay.
would do the checking.
Because right now they're booked out to 2029, so the sooner we can get an idea.
Right.
that's gonna be-
And the law has changed, it will require a reappraisal every 6 years, so then all sooner be done one and you have to do another one. So that's a little overkill from the state, but nonetheless, we're probably the town that was the longest. We were the first town to get this notice. We haven't had an appraisal since 2007, so it's getting, and so that's what the listers are looking for, is just to do the preliminary checking out that, and then they'll report back to us. Now, there is a listing of recommended appraisers by the state of Vermont, and the listers have that. There are some out-of-state firms, a lot of out-of-state firms, but the feeling the listers are they like to get somebody who's within the state, because when they're out of state, you're going to be paying for hotel rooms, travel, everything. And one of the firms actually is located in Franklin County and works out of Fairfax. And it's either a division of or part of NEMRIC, which is the accounting system that we run. So that's probably the first call they're gonna make. But, so, if they're out already to 2029, is the waiting list. It'll take 3 years to get this done. So it won't hit the taxes, the grand list will not be affected until probably 2032. I mean, we're talking out there ways. But we've got to get the process started so they can get satisfy the state that we're working on it. So we're just looking for.
Any penalties involved if we don't get it done, or if we don't start?
Well, I look right at the first paragraph. It says,
Yeah.
State withholding funds?
possibly withhold funds, so.
As long as we start the process.
Once the process is started and they see that you're in good faith doing things, and then, okay, and Jim will be talking with the author of this. I'm not sure if he'll be talking to Jill Remitt or another advisor, last name is Benson or Bennett. they, we'll keep them in the loop, and they should be all right.
Do we need to take any action to initiate this?
Just that you say that you agreed and have them go forward and just do the preliminary checking out with the firms and see what availability is, approximate cost. And then when we're ready to send the RFP, we'll ask you for a motion or me to send out the RFP.
I'd like to set our first meeting in April for them to come back to us.
Yeah.
When I look at this as, possibly being completed in 2032, and we haven't had one since 2007, I know this causes a lot of anxiety to people, as it should. They should be aware of it, but it's time to level the playing field again.
Right. And, the thing I will say, if I may, Mr. Chair, and to assure the listeners and the viewers who are watching this, a reappraisal will not necessarily raise or increase your taxes. The same amount of money is being used. It actually might help the taxes become more. So the grand list will increase, tax rates should go down. Yes, some people will pay more, but quite a few will probably pay less.
Not unless the budget stays the same. Budgets keep going up, doesn't.
Well, again, it's based on the amount of money that you're, that's what drives.
But to the math there though, if you've got people that, so it's somebody that recently bought new construction, mine is probably at a higher percentage than somebody that hasn't been reassessed since 2007. So from that perspective, for the listeners here, as an example, a newer purchase home could be, because it had to be reappraised and everything, that could be cheaper, assuming, right? Because the rate has to drop, possibly to account for higher value.
For Jim and the guy.
Yeah.
Because when they do assess it, they'll assess it based on 2007 numbers right now. So that's.
Maybe having it down the road ain't such a bad idea because, we don't know if it's gonna go, if things level out or if they go back
That's right.
to where they should be, who the hell knows what's gonna happen,
But just confirm the process, they complete the entire assessment of all properties
Of all
in Swanton, and then we adjust accordingly, correct? Or they adjust accordingly?
One of the things that is definitely going to happen, this one, there certainly should happen, is the one that we had done in 2007, they entered the information in, nobody on the local level were checking those numbers. And we still to this day are finding mistakes. So that's not going to happen. Our listers will be involved in checking the information as it's coming in and making sure it's correct. And of course, there's the appeal process, of which the Board of Civil Authority may end up getting involved in down the road. But they will. I'll be retired by then, but they will be very. The important thing is that these numbers are going to be checked and proofread. And you set tax rate.
I'll follow up on what Joe said, that, by the 1st of April, we'd like to have the listers present us with their findings.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should put that in the form of a motion.
I don't think we need to. We put it as an agenda, invite them and invite them to the meeting and have them come talk to us.
And you'll see them, and,
I'll see them tomorrow morning, sure.
because we got no choice but to get it going.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And we do have money saved in the account. What,
$660,000.
$660,000 already saved for this. And we'll take all of that, I'm sure. And then
But that's gonna grow between now and then.
Yeah, and that money comes from the state of Vermont that's in there.
Yeah.
They
Every
send-
year.
They send so much per parcels to be put into a reappraisal account.
Yeah.
One of the questions for the listers, just to tell us how many facilities, cards, or whatever would be part of that, is how many hundreds of, just so we have an idea of parcels
I
that,
believe it's about 3,000.
yeah, it's a
So it's
big
probably close to
undertaking.
3,600.
Probably 3,600.
That's it, that would include commercial, seasonal,
Everything.
year-round.
Yeah.
There's a few what we would call black holes in the town that there's property there, nobody knows who owns it, but they're fucking few between. Very hard.
Okay. Is everybody good with that? Good?
Yep.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay. Now we're gonna move to 4, law enforcement, animal control. That is on page 6. What's that?
Oh, no, I just flipped the page and I was like, oh, we haven't even made it to 4 yet. I'm getting excited over here.
8 became the 3, so, yeah.
Carried it
We
too.
move around.
I'm starting to ground in my papers over.
Need more, let me know. So, we got the report. I don't know if there's any questions.
Have the folks registered their animals since this time going to the Monroe County?
Find my copy.
31 College Street, license 31.
I don't have a name. But they have to get the
Oh,
first
31 Foundry Street. I don't, do you know, Kathy, did they come in on 31 Foundry Street?
I'd have to know the name.
Oh, okay, that's it. Jim didn't provide us with the name. I can check with him.
But we've had a few people come in and register, so
Yeah.
it could very well be that they did. I think I know who it is. They did.
They did?
It was 2 dogs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, they did.
they did.
And
Okay.
then we get the Showen Road, right?
Right.
There's an unlicensed one there.
That
too.
was a dog that came to St. Albans City. So he actually did.
So he called about that one.
Yeah. And he issued them a ticket for having a dog at Boston. Went into the city and gave them a ticket.
Okay, so dogs are back in St. Albans.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if there's any other questions.
Just to note, April 1st is the deadline to have your dog
That's right.
license.
All right, and we will move on to expenditures. So, expenditures, looks like the dates are all the same, January 22nd, 2025, to February 18th, 2025. So unless someone sees a need to, we're gonna only say that once. And we are gonna go on to entertaining a motion for approving the general orders for $65,527.84. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. Is there any discussion? I want to thank you, Kathy, for getting these out. I think it was Thursday they were out.
They were.
Under the credit card expenses, it's the same items.
It's because it gets split out to each different department where it was charged, so.
Oh, okay.
And I only have one place to put it in accounts payable for notes. So it's split out in many.
So if you look under credit card services, they each have a different account number.
Yeah.
So for computer software purchase, that has to probably be in that list of
It does.
things,
It's a
whatever,
general fund.
yeah, whatever in that list.
Yeah, what was charged.
Well, I know how to read numbers reports. I'm a pro.
So where am I seeing the number that would have gone toward,
Under the account number, it says one dash, there's a list of numbers.
Oh, yeah,
So when
okay.
you see the credit card number, then you look to see what account it's coming out of, that computer software.
Yeah.
So in that memo list, it's whatever underneath there would be relative to computer software purchase.
somehow I was seeing that number and saying, oh, we're in the month of January, so now that's starting, yeah, okay, I got it. Yep, thank you. Any other discussion on general orders? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Highway orders, entertain a motion to approve highway orders for $61,058.78.
I'll make that motion.
Here a second?
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Are we running low on salt now?
What's that?
Salt,
We're doing well.
we're doing well.
Yes, yeah, I got a few updates, but yes, we should be good. Unlike the news reporting one town's gonna be out, Kevin said we're fine.
I know we had some left over from last year, but this is a good thing, it's all gonna be gone now.
He ordered quite a bit, so yeah, we're in good shape. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Special, I'll entertain a motion to approve special orders for $7,639.46.
I'll make a motion.
And a second. Anybody?
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Just a question on
Iron Box
the,
LLC?
oops.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead,
No,
go
I
ahead, Brandon, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, what is Iron Box LLC?
It is-
Storage container that.
Correct, it's the
That we
storage
approved
container at
for
the
the
rec
rec
department.
department.
Oh, okay.
That was part of that 20,000, and one of it was, originally I think it was gonna be flooring, and then we said it wasn't gonna happen, and then one of the meetings approved the purchasing that storage.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Got
the
pictures
FW
and
Wed
stuff.
one where it says rec park, that was for the infiltration chambers where we improved the drainage around, that was all part of that improvements as well.
Sounds good.
How we doing on that 20,000?
We're doing well. I'm gonna say right now, we probably spent about 12 of it. We purchased all the siding to finish the other 4 sides, so we'll do that in the spring. Kevin did at least the first part of the drainage, and we'll see whether we gotta do more, but we won't spend all of it without coming back to you, because we only had a certain list of items that we were allowed to do, but we'll keep you posted on that.
You're talking about windows. I was there the other day, didn't look like there was any windows in there.
We're doing
Yeah, there's 2
Oh,
windows.
there is?
Oh, yeah.
in the garage area,
Yeah.
which is really a classroom quite a bit of the time, there's 2 windows facing the ball fields.
Oh, okay.
Did not, they said please don't put them on the street side because they didn't want people walking by, looking in and saying, oh, I wanna grab that or grab, you know.
Couldn't
So
do
yes, we
anyways,
put-
because the storage on the inside would have covered it.
Yeah, we installed 2.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Go ahead.
Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Library orders, I entertain a motion to approve library orders for the amount of $2,997.71.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Highway and general payroll orders for the amount of $936.04 in checks, $39,214.29 in direct deposit. I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Library payroll orders. I'll entertain a motion to approve the library payroll orders in the amount of $9,284.33. Second?
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thank you, everybody. Moving right along to somewhere. This is item 6. Okay, highway report, want to keep it brief. Vehicles are all doing well. Did find a hydraulic leak on our new vehicle because there was a fitting on the back of it that was hand tight. Tightened it up and have had no problem since then. The sand shed is half full right now, and that's the sand that's been mixed and the salt's been added to it. And we should be good for the year, but if we need to, we've got a large stockpile of sand behind the sand shed. We can take that out and mix the salt in it. We're doing fine on salt, as was discussed before. We'll be spending some time in the next 2 weeks progressing on Swanton Hill Road project and Brooklyn Street. Paving, we need to get the RFP going on the paving project, so if you folks have a road that you want us to take a look at, please let me know. Kevin and I will go out and take a look, and we'll come to you with a proposed paving plan for the year. And we'll work very hard to change how we do that estimate, so we don't have the discussion we had last year. And then grants, Brian said we have till April, what was
I
it?
think it was like April 20th.
Grants for possible structures or class 2 road improvements, so we'll take a look. I think we can find a class 2 road that we could put together something for a grant. And then for a structure, I talked with Tyler Billingsley a little bit, and I haven't got a proposal from him yet, but the Berry Road culvert up there, I wanna start talking about that and possibly seeking a grant, because we may not get it first time around, but at least
Yeah, it'd be
start
a
that
real
process.
good idea if we started getting
It's-
something moving
it's-
on that.
it's-
Because if it's an emergency situation, it's gonna be costly.
Right, and, yeah, so, that's my updates from the highway. Any questions? Here are none, we'll go right on to the certification of miles, and that, oh, you handed that
I
out
got-
separately.
Yeah, I got the signed, the copy to be signed.
I'll let you talk to that one.
Okay, what this is every year, we have to certify to the state of Vermont the mileage of our town highways. There were no changes, we didn't add or subtract any mileage this year, so that's fairly simple. However, we do have an issue which we're working on trying to get resolved. For some reason, the state of Vermont, the highway maps have never shown Robin Hood Drive going all the way to Bushy Street, then on to Route 7. Though that, I talked to Dick Thompson today, and he says, well, we went through all the whole process. Well, you know, we're gonna have to prove it to the state and get it on there. So we're working, Christina's doing research on that, and we're trying to find that. But for now, this is what our mileage is. So I just need everybody just to please sign, and then town clerk will sign, and then she will record this, and I will send it on its way.
That's how we get funded.
That's how we get the state aid.
Right.
I move we sign the road mileage for the state.
I'll second.
Motion been made, seconded to approve the mileage as shown tonight. Any other discussion? The only thing I will say is Bushy Road to Route 7, that was done somewhere in the like 2015 timeframe, 2016.
Yeah.
Because we did that in-house.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the documentation of the distance and everything, we ought to be able to find the drawings, because
Yeah.
we had an engineer do the drawings for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Christina's a good detective. She can track it down.
And I can help you with that too, possibly, but anyway, any other discussion? Here are none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Alright, moving right along. Old Town Business, Swanton Rec bylaws update. We had set the date of 7th February for comments. We received comments from some of the board members. Now the suggestion from Steve was maybe have a town administrator take these and adjust the bylaws. And then we can take a look at it. I think there's a little discussion. I'm somewhat interested in maybe letting the Swanton Rec Committee look at those recommendations and come back. And first of all, I don't even know, because they call them Constitution and bylaws, and there's one section numbered, and that was kind of, I guess, the Constitution, and all of a sudden the numbers repeated, but it didn't say bylaws. And do we just call it the bylaws and just label paragraph 1 at the beginning to paragraph X at the end? And to me, it's just, let's call it the bylaws, unless someone thinks we need to do something
We
different.
Christina could just take all of the suggestions made and kind of put those in italics. So we know right away what the new suggestions are. It'd be easier to follow, I think. I mean, you're gonna have the regular script and then italics for whatever. And because otherwise you're gonna sit there with the old one and go through it piece by piece.
Okay, I mean, that would be a good next step,
Yeah.
if everyone's good with that.
Yep.
Then we can have more discussion after we get that to look at. We have all those in one document. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, that was easy. Anything else? LVRT bid opening update. What a nice day that was today at 2 o'clock. Having 5 people come in with bids. None were mailed in, and typically in construction, they don't. They want someone to make sure they get there, so started out, I was paying my electric bill at the village, and I see a guy with an envelope, and he's starting to ask questions. I said, have you got a bid in there? He said, yes. I said, follow me. He followed me down here, And he was the first one, and then 4 others showed up. So bottom line is, we got 5 bids. The apparent low bidder, and that's the term we need to use right now, is Wright's Excavating at $458,466.99. Then we had 2 bids in the $600,000 range, and then we had one at $940 something thousand, and one at $1,074,000. So the next step right now is to work with the engineers to evaluate the bids. Unless there's some real big discrepancy in the dollar figure on the line items between what they estimated and what any one of these estimated, the bid will most likely go to the parent low bidder. They are approved by the state. I did find that out this afternoon in a phone call, and they have submitted all the other items they needed to, but we've got to do that analysis, and then we'll come back to the board here. But bottom line, talking with the state as well, besides the money they've already granted us and we put aside, we can cover that initial one or the next 2 without no problem. So good news is we should be working and getting that construction
Time
going.
frame on that.
1 August completion date right now. Now, that could be extended a little bit, but the bottom line is that's what they're shooting for. We get this awarded in the next few weeks, they got time to start ordering stuff, and like the pavilion's gonna take a while to get the very specific wood.
Did you plan on awarding it for our next meeting?
No.
Will that delay
It'll be close. No, we're still good. If
It'd be the second meeting of the month.
I should have said possibly. We gotta get stated, this SALA has to get approved by,
Oh, okay, so once, if,
it's gotta get reviewed by the engineer, then I've gotta work with the state before we can sign an actual contract with the contractor.
yeah, but the board will have to approve
Yes.
entering this, so that's what I'm saying, at what board meeting would you plan on getting this approved by the board?
The soonest one I can.
So that might be the next one.
That's why I said possibly. Couple weeks, I don't know if we'll get there, but I would hope by
The following.
the second meeting in March that we are working toward a signed, approved contract and getting it signed.
Sorry,
Yep.
myself, what does LVRT stand for?
Lamar Valley Rail Trail,
Thank you.
yeah. And I don't know if you saw the plans, but we're putting in the parking lot, picnic pavilion, et cetera, right on Robin Hood, which is the start of the Mile Valley Rail Trail. So it'll be a nice parking area, paved, and so on.
Was that sent out to us in the email?
What's that?
Was that sent out in like an email to us, or?
It's been an ongoing for like a year and a half with the design and everything, so what I'll do is I'll get a copy of the layout
I
to
just
you.
love to see it.
Well,
Yeah,
no, you
that's
should,
great.
as a board member, you
Yeah.
should. Other ones have seen it over the course of
Yeah.
reviewing things, but absolutely, plus we got a whole set of drawings right in there.
And the specs, if you'd like to read the
A
pages.
couple hundred pages. of
Down to how many
specs.
nails, right? Perfect. Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, next item, I just wanted to update, we put out a request for proposal for graphics for that sign. There was a few contacts made, but nobody submitted anything. So, I guess what I would ask, and, we could warn it for next, but I think this is a continuation of some existing, is we just say we're okay with a photo similar to the one that we showed, which had the library, the church, and some trees from the, what's that?
You have the picture?
I know I did. What Brian say, he's, I printed it and brought it with me tonight. As we go, there it is. I'll just start it over here because I didn't, my own didn't get home and I didn't want to, but basically we just go with something like that and get this moving. And we will change the bottom so it doesn't say home of MBU because that was brought up.
Earl, you didn't submit your drawing of the goose? Or the swan? Jeez, don't mind me. I'm one coffee short today.
The board already approved up to 10,000, so if we're good with that, we'll get this moving, so in the spring we can put some new signs up and replace those old ones.
That'd be great.
Okay. New town business, we did that. Community and economic development.
So I just wanted to briefly touch upon 2 inquiries that I've had at the rec department recently. I had a gentleman reach out to me today, actually, about wanting to build a multi-use recreational facility for martial arts down in the Southern Growth District. And he's been having a hard time making contacts with some of the landowners. And before I said, go right in and talk to Brian, I wanted to bring it up to the board that there are people interested in building down there. So I should send them your way,
Yeah.
so be expecting him. And then I had an inquiry about lodging. A lot of visitors that are coming to our area using the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail are finding difficulties with finding lodging in our area. So I just wanted to also put that out on everybody's radar as we continue to look at economic development, that there is a need for lodging in our community.
That's a great point. There certainly is. So if you want to do the western edge of the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail, you've got to basically stay in a hotel maybe 8-10 miles away. It doesn't make it very convenient.
Right, so I mean, right now there are the 2 campgrounds in West Swanton, and if you're on a bike, traveling down Route 78 is not an option that I would recommend to anybody. There are several Airbnbs and VRBOs listed out on Maquam Shore, but other than that, the only other option would be to send folks to St. Albans, as our local motel is currently being used by Vermont Housing House the Homeless.
Yeah, that is something actually for us to probably come up with as a list so that we could put that on our site and available, even though it's limited, but at least there are some options.
So that's something that we are working at with Promote Swanton, and the inquiry came directly from Lamoille Valley Rail Trail Bike Tours, who is a company that shuttles folks, for those of you that don't know, shuttles folks up and down the rail trail, so you can potentially get on here in Swanton, and they'll pick you up in St. Johnsbury and drive you back when you're done to your car in St. Albans. And so they've been using the lower parking lot at the rec field as a parking site for it as we continue to develop the terminus. So we've been in contact, and I've been sending them information about our community. But they said that for 2025, they're already projecting users doubling what they've used in the past for the LVRT.
Do we actually have a true B&B, a bed and breakfast in Swan?
We don't.
I didn't think so.
No.
I mean, we got a lot of these little mini motels, as I call them, that are unpermitted VRBOs, but I didn't think we had one.
No, it just, on the Airbnbs, I think there's 2 or 3 located on Maquam Shore.
Oh, probably a lot more than that.
Only the one list, those are the only ones I can find on their site listed, so.
No, I've had people calling, well, a year ago saying, is there a hotel? Because they can't, but when they get to the end, they want a real shower or a real bed. I don't blame them. So it's a serious need that we have here.
Well, so for right now, folks are getting off in the junction in Sheldon and taking the Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail into St. Albans. So they're not coming to our community. So as we continue to think about a plan to utilize the trail to promote tourism in our community, lodging is one of those things that we need to prioritize. I'm not sure how we would go about that, but.
Well, I've spoken to a landowner up there near the interstate that they should be porting a hotel.
Well, wasn't it brought up during the zoning bylaws update or the rezoning for right around the highway that could now house housing or lodging. That previously it couldn't because it had a weird zoning change to it, but now it can. So it might be some really good point to bring up to them as well, as like there is interest here, like we're getting response for it. So
we'll just keep at it. I also just will mention that I had received an email, the office received a call from a producer of a television home improvement show that I'm not even sure what network it would go on. He was wondering if there were any permits needed. They're going to be taping a
a show in Swanton, down Lakewood Drive. It's about living on the lake, and they wanted to know if there was any permits needed, which there are not. And
Any
they
what,
need
Brian?
permits.
Oh,
And so I gave them all the information. I said, well, there's no permits needed. I will notify the village that runs the police department, and that if anybody sees your people around, you're taping a TV program. So we're gonna get, I don't know what kind of exposure we're gonna get, but they are,
is that the beachfront Argon Homes or whatever?
something like that.
They were
yeah.
over on, they were on the lake, I'm trying to think where, over in the southern part of the state.
Yeah, well, they're.
Yeah, they were
one on
doing a
Lakewood
feature
Drive.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he says, we'd like to go into Swanton and take, yeah, I said, you just come in and take all you want.
Plenty of
But
places.
before they take anybody's property, they'll get permission. I said, that's fine.
That's great.
So we'll have to see. Hopefully it's a channel we can get, so we can.
All right, moving on. We need someone to make a motion to recess the select board meeting and convene the liquor control board.
I'll make a motion to recess the regularly scheduled select board meeting and convene the liquor control board.
I'll second it.
Motion been made in second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Who's gonna take the lead here?
I'll move that we approve the licenses of
It's North Country Bait and Tackle.
North Country Bait Tackle and RL Valley Incorporated. Both of them have no violations.
There a second?
Second.
Motion's been made in second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I've asked for samples.
So moved.
I'll move to adjourn the liquor control board meeting and re-enter the regular select board meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Any other necessary business? Discussion of the joint information meeting 2/24/2025.
Well, the real purpose of that was to see how everybody was gonna dress. We made that decision earlier. I'm still working on the PowerPoint. I should have it finished by Thursday. When I get it done, I'll send it by email, take a look at it. It's very similar to last year's format. We'll just go through what projects were done, what was accomplished, changes, and then go into the money end of it and give a projected tax rate based on last year's grand list. I guess it starts, I don't know, the format, what we've done in the past was we have to open the meeting like a select board meeting. And then I'm called upon to read the warning as town moderator, which I can do, I can read. And then, Joel, are you gonna do the presentation of the PowerPoint?
You did last year for the town,
I
right?
did, yeah, I can do it if you want, or if I can do it, you can do it, if somebody else wants to do it, that's fine.
We can discuss it, but I think you did a great job last year.
And then any questions, I do it, and if any questions should come up, I'll field them to the appropriate
Yep.
person. And then there's gonna probably, I'm sure the question will come up on the ARPA funding and what's transpired there. So I don't know if anybody's comfortable to explain that, I can explain it.
You're gonna have a slide of that, right?
Yeah, I gotta get some information from.
Right, which
Yeah.
we have in the town report, right,
Yeah.
the special funds.
Yeah.
We always do, I just haven't flipped through the
What?
town report yet.
Well, we didn't do a per se ARPA.
What's that?
We didn't have ARPA funds.
Right, but did we do a special funds piece in there?
No,
Didn't explain to me, they got transferred for the special fund.
right, it wouldn't be, it's not really, it's
Wow.
different now.
Yeah, well, that's what we
It's
gotta.
different, but it's
So,
the same
but
thing.
that's what, but Brian, that's why Brian's gonna explain
Yeah.
How it
why.
came about.
Yeah.
Because,
Okay.
Right.
and I'll be very blunt, that it shocked us, what they wanted us, how they wanted us to handle it, but that's
Thank you.
our,
list from the LCT, our auditors, they were all in agreement that this is what you're gonna do. So that's what we did.
No, that's fine. I guess I'm a little surprised we didn't put a page in here,
Into the,
just so we don't give anybody in the crowd an opportunity to,
or is it, must
Why?
be showing in the,
It's in the treasurer's report, shows the special funds.
oh, okay, so it is.
It's, the money's in there, it's just
Yeah.
we didn't do like a, because the ARPA funds aren't, the special funds are now, it's not, there's no more ARPA.
Right,
Right.
okay,
When you
so,
when you sign that resolution to use those
right,
funds
no,
to
I understand
okay.
it. It's special funds, and that's, I'm all good with that, so where,
in the treasurer's report.
I've got the general budget.
Yeah, that's probably all our own fault too, because we should have made some mention of this in the selectmen's report of how that got
Yeah.
changed, yeah. And none of us thought of it.
Find it here then.
Treasurer's
For the
report?
budget.
Oh, I know the money can be accounted for in there, but
Let's see, it's-
you need to, if you like that explanation. You know what I mean?
It's right under highway miscellaneous, if I'm not correct.
No, I'm looking in the wrong place. Don't look at expenses.
If you look up under receipts, is that where it would be, Kathy? I see special
Oh.
funds written.
Right here. Because it became a revenue to the town,
Okay,
so
yeah,
it's in our revenues.
but what we
Because
should
instead
have
of-
is that spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I'll get that
Handy.
for you.
Right, I think every board member ought to have that spreadsheet, and
Yeah, that I can.
I
that's
certainly
up-
don't mind talking to that spreadsheet if I have it in front of me, but
Yep.
we need to have that. So yes, so we do
Yeah.
show, that money as a receipt to the town. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Anything else on the,
Before we move on, this is
Yeah.
something that I'd like to, we've been working on as Promote Swanton, but I'd like to add into that joint informational meeting, and I just wanted to share it with you guys before I bring a stack of copies to hand out to the
I've already
hordes
got
of
one. I
people
don't
that
need
want to
another
be
one.
there.
come on, have another piece of paper.
And all the same, this is something that I would also like to have available on town meeting day, just as folks come into the community. There's an extra one, Heather, if you'd like to grab one.
Yes.
And if you have any other historical activities you'd like to put on that, now would be the time to let me know before that happens.
Okay, great.
Again, so everybody in the community has all of the standing events happening, so they can't be like, oh, I didn't know about that.
Some still will, but
I
this
know.
is a nice attempt to,
We're trying.
improve that.
That's great.
That's great.
Very complete.
Okay.
Just,
Go ahead.
just to let you know that I will not be able to attend the informational meeting. I assume I'm gonna be okay to come to the first meeting of the month, but I'm kind of playing it by ear right now. But the informational meeting, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
I can pick you up for the other one if you need a ride.
Here's something I'm just gonna, and we could make copies of this. I asked Kathy a question, and it's something as we're talking to people about budgets and so on, I think it's a good thing to have in your pocket. If it's a general fund item, which is paid for by everybody in in Swanton, inside the borders of Swanton, a 40,000 increase on a budget item on a $300,000 home is for the year $16.05.
A month,
No, for the year.
one shot.
Yeah, so like $1.30 or something. The highway fund, because it's only paid for by those outside the village, same thing for $40,000, it would be $21 for the year, so $102 a month. But just as you're talking budgets with people, any increases of paying, obviously decreases, you know, what we want to do or hold it the best we can, but just that's how much it really impacts them for the stuff that we have some oversight on, nothing to do with the state education piece. The other thing for the meeting, and I was talking with Kathy a little bit, is my understanding of the school budget and the thing I got in the mail, they're telling me the school tax that I get this year is going to be slightly less than what it was last year.
there's,
According to their informational meeting, that's how they presented it
Right, so that's something for us to all be aware
That's
of.
the expenditures, that doesn't,
No, that's a
No,
tax
that's the
rate.
tax
that's the
rate.
tax rate.
The actual tax
That's
rate,
before the state, that's after the
That's
state.
the tax rate.
That's
They're
the tax
projecting.
including what they're getting from the state
Yeah,
per pupil
yeah.
or whatever, right? That's my understanding.
Yeah.
That was quite a surprise after hearing 6% up or
Yeah.
down, you know, by what the communities do. But the other thing, and unless it's changed, and Brian had this info, and I'd like to have this before the meeting, informational meeting. I think you'll have it up on the board, but my understanding is for someone outside of the village, when you take into account general, highway, to fire, and all that, it is a slight decrease over
Yeah.
last year.
yeah.
Yeah, so,
And in the village, it's a very slight increase, isn't it? For a village resident? Or what?
I don't know,
No, the rollover, I think both of them were a little bit less than last year.
Our what?
Our tax rate.
yeah.
For the general, it's a little bit less than last year too, isn't it?
I think of the tax.
Our general?
I think our general's.
Yeah.
Our general's up
increased
a little bit.
But the highway, the
Offset it.
offset, it went down a little bit.
Highway to offset all the other increases.
Yep,
Now, not being on the school board, but, you know, that's never really final to the legislature,
that's why that's,
and they haven't done it yet. is the-
Then the school board should be taken to task at that meeting and put that information out. Because as a voter, when I look at that information and that says what my tax rate's gonna be, that's what I expect to see if I approve that budget.
that's all, that's the question.
Estimated,
It's not final.
estimated or proposed, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't say that on that sheet of
No,
paper.
no.
You know, it's not over until it's over.
I will probably ask them that question
It's not over until it's
in
over.
a polite way, but, that should be put
Yeah,
up.
but this is one of the real odd years down in Montpelier. I think they're gonna be spending less. Maybe the tax rate might even go down
I
more.
wouldn't hold my breath. Some of them have not learned their lesson.
Well, enough of them did.
If you do get a chance to, though, the school district does have a very comprehensive breakdown of their budget on their website, because they're not doing, they found that it wasn't fiscally responsible to do a ton of printed copies that were just gonna sit in a box someplace.
And we do have some here on the counter, dropped off,
Okay.
Their report.
their report, yeah.
Good one. Oh, got it.
Next item is appointment to the Swanton Rec. We had a request that by email, Brian.
Yeah, the, I received a request this morning from Betsy that, I think I copied it to everybody.
Yeah, some of
Yeah.
the-
It's in here.
There's an opening on the board, and they'd like to appoint Katie Underwood, the Swanton Rec Board of Directors. She's a Swanton resident, she lives down on the Bushy Road, around that area. She's volunteered for the rec for many years, and she'd like to fill the vacant treasurer position.
You know what, to Nicole?
I sure do. She's been a very prominent volunteer within the organization.
Would you like to make a motion to approve it? It's not a budget issue for the rec department. It's not a,
Well, I would make a motion to approve Katie Underwood to the rec board.
are you a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
She's very
Yeah.
excited.
Correspondence?
Did you abstain from that?
Joel asked me to make the motion for it.
I don't see it as a policy issue. I don't see it as a budget issue. I don't think there's a conflict there.
The only correspondence that I had was that, about the appraisal.
Yeah. Okay. Public comment? I think do we have anybody else up there? Okay.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Just want to say, in case this is my last meeting, thank you very much, everyone, for the opportunity, and it's been a pleasure. My small way of impact, but thank you very much for having me on the board, and appreciate this special appointment. So,
Thank you for
Really
being
appreciate you having here and wish you well during the election process.
thank you.
Just,
No matter the outcome, stay involved.
yeah,
100%.
I'll keep your seat here for you.
Appreciate it.
I just have one question. I sent an email to Brian and Joel that was dated January 27th about a couple of concerns I had. Is that going to have any discussion? This is in my package.
For the,
As it related to the loan that the rec department took out, and also some policy development around the reserve account. That was in the package, wasn't it?
right, and, no, I didn't catch that piece,
But I think that's part of the policy.
as part of the update and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. I think, we can certainly have it when we get that revised bylaws.
When
I
do you
think
want
this-
that
I think
done
this is totally separate from that,
So-
but that's okay.
Well, I mean, part of correcting some of those concerns to me should be in the bylaws.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
But there's still two issues outstanding here that I think we
Okay.
should be discussing, so.
we will carry those as separate items, and yeah,
Okay, thanks.
we'll do it, if you're okay with it, the second meeting. in
Oh, that's
March.
fine, no, I just, it's.
Yeah.
It's good.
No, I know we wanted to cover those,
Yeah,
and,
it's gonna be done.
okay. You wanna just take that as a note for the
Yep.
second meeting in March, for the agenda? Okay, upcoming events, Nicole, do you wanna cover that?
Thursday, February 20th, 2025, there'll be a planning commission meeting here at the town offices at 11 a.m. That's not a typo, right?
No,
Okay.
town office and Zoom.
Town office and Zoom. Very exciting, if you haven't seen it already, on Saturday, February 22nd, from 12 to 2, there will be pizza and play and skate at Swanton Recreation. Please come enjoy. Monday, February 24th, 2025, will be the Franklin County Legislative Breakfast at 8 a.m. at the Village Municipal Complex. Monday, February 24th, 2025, will be the Town Village Joint Informational Meeting at 7 p.m. at the Village Municipal Complex. Thursday, February 27th, 2025, the DRB will meet here in the town office and by Zoom at 6 p.m. Tuesday, March 4th, 2025, Town Meeting Day. The polls will open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Swanton Village Municipal Complex. Wednesday, March 5th, 2025, will be the Special Organizational Select Board meeting, 6 p.m. here at the town office and by Zoom.
Okay. Executive session for personnel, I have a motion.
I move that we find that we enter executive session for the select board to receive confidential personnel information for which the premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
Steve,
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, yep. I have it.
Brandon?
Yep.
Earl? Yeah. Nicole?
Yes.
Joel, yes.
I move that based on our just made findings, the premature disclosure would place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage, so we now enter executive session.
Move we exit executive session.
I'll second.
Motion made, second to exit executive session at 7:51. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. No action was taken. Make a motion, or entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion been made and second to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved.